Uma has been asked to create a pivot table to show our total sales by customer type. In week 4, we saw how we could use quite complex calculations to summarize data. We're now going to look at how we could create this exact summary with just 4 clicks of the mouse and a pivot table. Let's see how it's done. So back in my order sheet, we're going to click anywhere in the data. Now I recommend that you first put your data in a table. This is not required, but it will make your pivot table much more responsive to changes. So we're going to come to our Insert tab, click Table, and press Enter. We're also going to give our table a sensible name, so I'm just going to call this Sales, and again Enter. Now to create the actual pivot, you must be clicked somewhere in your data, but again you do not need to select all of it. We then come back to our Insert tab, and on the far left is the Pivot Table button. This allows you to create your own pivot table from scratch. So we're going to click on that. That was our first click. Now you'll notice it has automatically picked up our sales table, and we do want to go into a new worksheet, so we're going to click OK. Second click. And there's our pivot table. Yeah, not too impressive at this stage, but what Excel's done is it has recognized we want a pivot table and it has given us a placeholder. We're now going to design our pivot table by using the pivot table fields list on the right-hand side. You will also notice there are 2 brand new ribbon tabs, Pivot Table Tools Analyze and Design. Now first of all, if you want to make your pivot table fields a little wider or a little narrower, they can be adjusted by clicking and dragging the edge. Each of the columns from our original dataset appears as a field in our field list. Now we want sales by customer type, so I'm going to find customer type and click in the checkbox. That's 3 clicks. Now to get my total sales, I'm going to scroll down till I get to total and click again. 4 clicks, and here is my report, total sales by customer type. That was really quick and easy. And not only that, but if we were to add some more data that had different customer types, all we need to do is hit the refresh button and the pivot table will automatically pick up those new values and add them to the pivot table. So very powerful, very quick. Now there are 2 ways you can create a pivot table. You can either select the data and then tell it where you want the pivot to go, or you can do it the other way around. So if I now want a second pivot table, and I'll just give myself a little bit of space, so we're going to click into A12, and I now want another pivot table showing my total sales by account manager. Again, I'm going to come up to Insert and click Pivot Table. This time it knows where the table is going to go, but I need to tell it where to get the data from. And because my data is sitting in a table, I can just type in the name of the table and click OK. Again, I get my placeholder. This time I want Account Manager, so I'm going to click on Account Manager, and I also want Total Sales. Once again, 4 quick clicks, and there's my summary. Now, one of the things that makes pivots really, really powerful is they can easily be pivoted or changed to get different views on the data. So for example, Uma's regional manager has seen this summary and he's very impressed, but he would like a further breakdown by state. Well, if we were using our traditional formulas, that could take a while, but with pivots, all we need to do is come up and find our state. Now, before I click on it, something I should quickly explain. When we're working with our pivot fields, when you simply tick a field that contains text data, it automatically adds that to the rows area, and each of those becomes a row label. When you select a field that contains numeric data, it is automatically added to the values area and summed. Now, we would actually like to add our state as a column label rather than a row label. We know if we tick it, it's going to hop into the rows, so instead we're going to grab our state, click, drag, and drop it directly into the columns area. And you can see it's now taken each of our states and added them as a column label. The marketing manager, however, has a different question. Rather than seeing a breakdown by state, he would like to see the sales trends over the last few years. So what I want to do now is get rid of state, and I do that by clicking, dragging, and dropping it off the field area. And then instead, I'm going to find order year, and I'm going to drag that into the columns area. And now I have a totally different view on my data. I can see total by year. So pivoting data can help us solve different questions or different problems. It can even allow us to experiment with the data and discover new trends and patterns. And we're only just starting to unlock the power of pivots.